Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Flight Path. We are so excited that you are here. As a reminder, this is the one-stop shop for all your Tern news, where we kind of get together every week and talk about what we've shipped. We give you a sneak peek into what's coming and just kind of an overall glimpse behind the curtain on how we are building this company for all of you. I'm one of your three hosts, David, CEO and co-founder, joined by Molly, our head of product, and a special guest today, Jade, making a return to the podcast. Jade is one of the product leaders here at Tern. Jade, welcome. We're so excited to have you back on the pod.
Thanks. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been too long. So get another friendly face. Everyone say hi to Jade in the comments. And maybe a good reminder while you're leaving that comment to click on the subscribe button if you haven't already done that, because then we'll get notified every time we pop up in your feed on Fridays or Saturdays, whenever you watch these. But I digress. Let's kick off, as we always do, with the week in review, kind of how things were. And we're going to start with you, Molly.
We have to address where Brad is, right?
Do we have to talk about Brad?
Who's
Brad?
Tern, I promise. He just is taking the day off today.
Yes. Let the record show people do indeed take days off at Tern, and Brad is doing that. He's having a lovely flight, I think, across the country right now to a wedding on the West Coast. So, Brad, if you're listening, we miss you. I hope you're having a great flight.
Yeah, just didn't want people to think, where's Brad and any conspiracy theories?
It's this is classic Molly. Molly is like the heart of all conspiracy theories. Everyone else would have probably just assumed Brad's getting a nice, well-deserved day off. And Molly's like, he's not dead, everybody. We're killing clicks, not Brad, okay? Don't worry. It's fine. It's okay, are we good? We can move on to...
I'll talk about my week. So I had actually a wild week. I had two very last minute on-sites with agencies, which were just absolutely fantastic. One was a total 6-hour drive round trip, and the other was I flew out one morning and returned flight the same evening. So I am running on fumes right now, but it was so rewarding just to get to sit in the room, spend a ton of time with their team, really get an inside look into the end-to-end back-end processes, accounting and commission reconciliation for very scaled teams. There's nothing that can replace that in-person time to really just wrap your head around the ins and outs and all of that, because we have a fairly robust set of back office tools, but we want to get to the next level of sophistication. And so it was just so energizing. I wanted to just leave and huddle with our engineers and build all of it tomorrow, but we're not going to do that. But it was really fun. And then the other highlight for me is, speaking of Jade, our fantastic product lead, my team is growing. So I'm hiring another product lead. So starting to see applications for that come in, which is really exciting. And we'll be a team of 3 product managers, in the next month or two, hopefully.
Pretty exciting. Jade, how was your week? How do you feel about the team growing? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm also really excited for the team to grow. I'm surprised, Molly, that you haven't already started. We've been doing a lot more experimentation with AI and seeing how we can kick off some of these features. So I'm surprised that we haven't started to see some of those back office features come to life at all.
I'm prototyping, don't worry.
But otherwise, my week was also pretty interesting. I got to sit in on a couple of the boot camps that Karina and Ben have been running, along with a lot of the other product experts. And as someone who loves learning and education, it was really, really cool to see that come to life in such a robust way. I think that we were all we've been waiting for this to be able to really train our users and really think critically about what's the best way to bring all of our users together and get them trained up. So that was a really rewarding experience this week. And then I'm sure, as you've heard from Brad on the podcast over recent weeks, we've been deep in the direct payments world. So we continue to really dig in there and understand requirements and needs, and really make sure that we're ready to build that into the product.
So cool. And so much there. We're going to talk more about kind of the boot camp and the reflections. I mean, that's just been such a cool thing. I feel like Molly and I sort of switched places a little bit this week, where I've actually been home Monday through today. I'm literally flying out after this meeting, which we'll talk about at the end. But it's been nice to kind of just focus, spend a lot of time with different kind of parts of the organization and kind of prepping for a lot of things that are coming up, whether it's the users conference, whether it's virtual travel week, and just kind of thinking about headcounts and planning and kind of all these different pieces. But I think my kind of macro reflection that I shared with the team yesterday at our kind of daily stand-up was, you just sort of see all these different kind of parts of the org, I feel starting to hum and to kind of get operating in a way that kind of meets our bar of excellence. And it's just like really exciting. We still have kind of progress, but if you think about, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, like we basically doubled the number of people at the organization in the past 3 to 6 months. We've doubled the engineering team, which you've got all these new engineers who are like figuring out a pretty complex product in a pretty complex industry, trying to figure out like, how does Tern work? We work very differently. You have the same thing. Like, Grace came in and like is building out a marketing function and figuring out like, what does marketing look like? You've got kind of support that's continuing to grow. You've got all these different areas that are like, Karina will talk about Bootcamp, like net new. And anytime you grow like that, there's this like stabilization period where people are sort of figuring out like, how do I work here? We're figuring out how do we enable them. And I feel like we're now coming out of that, which is kind of perfect. We'd hoped that during sort of the slower summer season, we could get that team really humming. And it's just going to be an epic fall. Like it is going to be such an epic fall. And I'm feeling really good about that. Seeing glimpses of these different things, seeing some partnerships that are coming to life. Like it's just been a really, really cool week. And, more to come on that. But let's talk about this bootcamp a little bit more, Jade. Like this is really special. And I'll echo what you said, like Karina, who's joined as our kind of training and education lead, and Ben, who's on our support team, have just done an incredible job here. You've been in a lot of these sessions, like kind of bring it to life for folks if they weren't able to join. Like, what is it? How's it going? Like, what are your impressions?
Yeah, it's just like, it's like the best way. I started my Monday and Friday with the bootcamp sessions, and it was awesome. So it's an 8-part series, and it's happening over the next few weeks. And the demand for this was so high. It's an interactive workshop that's really meant to get people started using Tern and feeling really comfortable with the system. I think something we've heard in the community and from our users directly is that it can feel a little bit overwhelming to get started. And you've heard Molly talk about some of the recent improvements that we've made on empty states and getting started, but to truly experience the product step by step in a session live where you're seeing demos and then putting it to use. I mean, there's just nothing better. And the responses that we're getting are so positive and so strong for just like the thought that's gone into crafting these sessions. And these sessions are like small. We're talking an interactive session with 1,000 attendees. Like I cannot give enough credit to Karina and Ben for leading such interactive, like really well thought through, truly like training sessions with 1,000 attendees and keeping everyone on the same page and at the same pace. It's really, really been incredible to watch.
And it's also like, I've been more of like an outside observer. I haven't been participating as directly, but it's so cool to also just see like our values being lived, where I know there was like a bunch of feedback on the first one and that was taken into account for the second one. And then there was more feedback on the second and that was taken into account to the third one. And I just see it like getting better and better. And like, I can even imagine our second bootcamp series when we do it is going to be like even 10x better than this one. And just seeing that happen, outside of R&D, like because we talked about it a lot in R&D, right? But like seeing that happen live has been really cool to witness, more from the outside looking in.
Yeah, from Monday to Friday, just the way that we were able to pivot and set expectations correctly and make sure that everyone knew where information was and how these sessions were going to be run. It was, also a really cool change to see.
And it was like one of the things, I mean, there's so many cool things. I remember when I first saw the like training, like the like workbook, I was like blown away. I was like, this is the most impressive workbook that I've seen. Like when did Karina have time to like build this, right? Much less for like 8 sessions. I mean, it's like truly incredible. But I also love the way that they're using AI. Like one of the things we talk a lot about on the podcast is like how AI is changing basically every function. And looking at the training education space, like one of the challenges is always like, okay, you've got 1,000 people attending a interactive workshop live. The number of questions that are going to come in are unmanageable. And that creates frustration. It means people aren't learning. And so like the embrace of like, we're going to use Finn. We're going to use our AI agent, which is going to help people like learn how to self-service and also deflect 80 to 90% of the questions so that 20 like instant responses for everyone. It's just been like really cool. So if you haven't attended, you can find the recordings under the Turn and Learn, I believe, under the live recordings. Is that right, Jade? Do you know off the top of your head?
All of the recordings, I think, are in the workbook itself, and we'll make sure that is shared. And I think it should be in Turn and Learn as well, but we'll make sure that the workbook is accessible.
I know it's kind of funny. Like we're having issues uploading them all to YouTube because like we demo the CRM with fake data, but YouTube flags it as us sharing like passport details of people. And like, so it's been a fun little kind of battle with YouTube. So you won't find all of them there for that reason. But let's keep going. We have had a busy week. Not only did we have 3 bootcamp sessions, which were just so cool. If you were there, let us know in the comments what you thought about those. I'll echo what Molly said, that the kind of rapid iteration improvement, so cool to see. That is what we do on the R&D side every single week. So we shipped some other pretty cool things. Molly, unfortunately, you don't owe everybody money because we did in fact ship the editor, I think.
I put
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, Jade, I don't know if you caught last podcast, but I was like, I promise this time I promise we're gonna release the trip editor and I'll give anyone $500 if we don't. And we absolutely did it. So Jade was actually the PM for it. So thank you for not costing me thousands of dollars. And maybe you could talk about some of like the beta feedback that we got and some of the work we did to iterate and why we took our time like launching it to make sure that it was all really buttoned up before we launched it all users.
Yeah, wow. I didn't know there was money on the line. I didn't know how much pressure, there truly was behind this, but it feels really good to get the editor out on trips and activities. This is one of the most used places for the editor. So we really wanted to make sure that things were feeling good. And it's also, I think, one of the areas where there's a little bit more customization, things like colors and highlights, drawing attention to certain information as a part of the activities. It felt a little bit different. And we wanted to take some of the feedback that we were getting and build that in before we launched it to everyone. As a part of our beta, we have about 20 users that have been participating in the editor beta, so getting it a few weeks before we roll it out to everyone. And then we've been tracking different feedback. So we heard some feedback on the color picker itself. Before, it was a little bit easier to actually pick a color without having to enter the exact hex code. And we had removed that and changed the color picker. So we reintroduced kind of an easier to use color picker. And we're still tracking some feedback and actually saving your most recent used color. So hopefully that's coming soon here. Stay tuned, but we're still tracking a few follow-ups there. We also introduced text alignment based on some of the feedback that we were getting, for particularly when you're copying and pasting and it has different alignment. A few users were actually getting stuck. So it was nice to be able to introduce that and reduce any errors. And yeah, I think those are the main 2 updates that we were tracking to get out before we release that to everyone, but it's feeling really good now. Molly, did you want to add anything?
Well, and just to echo what you said, the amount of even take copy and pasting, which was notoriously horrific in the old editor. But there's so many edge cases that emerge when you look at the types of data advisors are copy and pasting from suppliers and what have you into trips and activities, that the just amount of testing and amount of things that came out of the beta, just small bugs here and there, was just a really big surface area. Thank you again for everyone's patience, and I've seen a lot of hype. It was definitely worth the wait to kind of finally get it out. We've talked about the mobile implications before, so I won't belabor that, but just a lot of surface area overall that we had to account for.
I almost forgot about the mobile piece of it all. Yeah. It's been now it feels like it's solved, but there was a lot of complexity here. So
yeah,
I feel like we should go back and look at the first podcast we started talking about the editor, and it's just we're almost there.
6 months. I
think it has been. Yeah, we were I remember being we had this ingenious idea, we'll just hire a contractor and it'll all be solved that way. And turns out that wasn't, it was a major leap forward in actually building out the editor, but the complexity of this has been huge, but usability 100% worth it, making it more intuitive. So, and Molly, we're going to talk about kind of the last couple places that we're rolling this out.
Yeah, everything related to email and messaging. So signatures and message templates and replies that you're doing to emails and all of that good stuff. So that is another one that's a high risk area, if you will. It's very visible to clients. And so again, we're taking our time with that, but we're testing it as we speak. And it should go into beta, I would think, early next week. And then depending on how that goes, live for everybody from there, either late next week or early the following week, most likely.
And messaging is huge because this unlocks the ability to actually add headings and images into the messages that you're sending. So this really unlocks some new experiences that I think will be really exciting.
Wow. People are going to love that. A little bit more formatting. That's going to be exciting. Amazing. So editor, we're trucking forward. The biggest pieces are out. We've got a couple more of these things to knock off, and then hopefully
messaging. I know I've said it before. That's the last one. So like after
that's it.
messaging, we get to stop talking about it, which is going to be wild.
Wow. I think I'll miss it. Honestly, at this point, it's kind of become a little bit of like a comfort thing, being able to talk about the editor every Friday. So I'll have to find something else, I guess. But what is relatively new but still exciting is calendaring, which has gotten some love, even though it was shipped like last week. It's gotten more love this week. So Molly, you want to tee that up?
Yeah, well, we shipped it and then we immediately got a lot of hype and then a lot of feedback, just like anything, any of our popular features. So the main things we heard were a lot of people, even way more than I expected, have clients, like many different clients' birthdays on the same days. And so it was like kind of muddying up the ability to focus on things like tasks, or same with automations, like depending on trip dates and stuff, a lot of automations could stack. And so people really wanted to be able to filter out and just see the event types that they wanted to. So if they want to focus on tasks or trip dates or what have you. So we added filters for events. Same thing with trips. People often didn't want to see trip dates for trips that were just like in quoting or inbound. So they weren't necessarily going to actually get booked. And so it was, again, like cluttering up the calendar. And that one was a little trickier because we don't have standard trip statuses, right? Advisors can actually like customize trip status. So instead of just hiding those things, we again just like added a filter. So you can customize trips by status and see only the ones that you want. And then the final, we've just been making like other small bug fixes here and there and like polish for the experience itself. So like a nice little collapse if a certain amount of events appear to then expand more easily in line and that sort of thing. And then the main pieces of feedback still on our radar. We've gotten some requests to be able to like do a feed to an external calendar that we're like experimenting to see if it will be really easy. Jury's still out, so like don't want to like promise that one, but that's definitely on our radar. Showing upcoming payment due dates is the biggest one on our radar for sure. That one will be gnarlier. It'll be a harder one to build just because payment due dates are a bit heavier, just like on our side in terms of making sure we're supporting that correctly. But we will definitely get to it. And then making the filters themselves sticky. So if you leave and come back, you don't see again those like inbound trips you don't want to. That one should be quicker and should be in the next week or two.
Wow. So cool. I saw somebody, I think, post on like the Facebook group, like they have a calendar now. Like this is the one thing that made it so I couldn't switch to Tern. And so it's like, which is, yeah, I was kind of like, huh, like you're just surprised by these little things that like actually are true deal breakers for folks. And so being able to have that kind of overview of all the different things that are happening. And it's just the beginning. We're thinking about dashboards, thinking about reporting. And I was like, huh, maybe an interesting report that would add basically no value, but would be interesting is what is the most popular birth date of all the travelers in Tern? So we'll definitely bubble that up as well.
Google it and see statistically. No, we're not going to go down that route.
Probably February 28th. Just kidding. It's definitely the least comment. Anyway, moving on. We probably won't run that report, but if you are curious enough, put it in the comments. And maybe if we get enough comments and engagement, then we will pull the data. That the kind of like excitement continues. Mobile got a massive kind of update that went out. We got some learnings there. So I think, Molly, you're taking this one too.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, people are so excited about the new mobile app, including myself. Like it's so much better. You can now actually access documents so much more easily when you're on a really long trip. It's like it auto scrolls the right day. I know I demoed all of this last podcast. So if you want to actually get more of a live demo and stuff, feel free to check that out. But it's so much more visual. Like it's beautiful. So much love for it. And people are so excited for it. There also, unfortunately, we realized after releasing it, there's an issue with like logo dimensions, which we didn't catch testing because we don't use weird dimensions in our account. So it's just something I didn't think to test. So from now on, I'm just going to use a wonky dimension logo in my account. So I will always catch that moving forward. So that's a little mini retro learning for Molly. But we did an immediate quick fix to address the logo issue. The new app that replaced the old one was available like the next day with the fix, which is really good. Or maybe same day even. And then, we've gotten some other feedback here and there, nothing else like major. We're kind of in full swing on doing a similar level of polish for the actual like activity views themselves, which should be out next week, which will be really exciting. We're looking into sometimes when a trip is really, really large, we think we can make it like load faster. I saw one example of a trip that was having a hard time loading. So that's another thing on our radar that we're looking into as we speak. But yeah, so far so good. And it's good. We did a lot of time testing and stuff, just given the amount of like travelers that are like out abroad right now too. So excited to see that going really well.
It's like, I was just talking to the Ursula, the designer who did a lot of the mobile kind of updates, and it's like just such a big upgrade on the consumer traveler experience, right? Where like, it's like kind of funny, like when my family and stuff has used like the old app, it's like you kind of know, right? We had to build the app's okay, right? But there's so much potential there, and I feel like now we're really starting to realize a lot of that potential, and it's just going to get better and better. But I think confidently we can say that your clients will love this, and it's a massive leap forward, and it's something that like will be a true differentiator for you being a Tern advisor. And I think that's like really, really exciting. So glad that that's out. More updates coming. Got a couple other updates. I mean, it's like packed episode here in terms of updates. One literally I think just shipped. The detectives haven't even found it yet, right? I think that's pretty exciting.
I've been in meetings, so I don't know if they've found it since, but the first of a couple upgrades coming over the next couple weeks to form responses. So now, if you go to your contacts, hot off the press, if you go to your contacts, there's a new forms tab on each contact. And that forms tab will automatically show any responses associated with that contact. So you'll be able to reference them right there, right on the contact record, which is a request we've gotten for ages. So I'm so excited about it. And I'm just kind of waiting for the first detective to find it. So we'll see when that happens, but really excited.
I'm so excited for this update, like from like training sessions and just any sessions that I've been leading with how.
Yeah.
And will it retroactively? I mean, like, so let's say I submitted a form 5 days ago. This came out now. Like, will it only be for new form? How does that work? Like any
queuing me up with a question that you know the answer to. It's hilarious.
Yeah, well, would have been smoother if you didn't call attention to that.
Well, now that I never play along with any of your shenanigans on the podcast, so, it will work retroactively. So all time matches will show up.
That's great. Okay, here's a question I don't actually know the answer to. So, because you wanted to go really off script. If I'm a traveler that was listed on a form, do I show up, or is it just the submitters?
Oh, yes, you do.
Wow. Thought I got you there, but okay, that's pretty cool. Wow. All right, Jade, we're technically Molly's next on the agenda, but it's just been a lot of Molly, and she's kind of snarky there. So I'm going to come over to you for a little break here. We had some like quality of life things that we shipped. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we shipped an improvement for room pricing visibility. So if you didn't have a price on some of your rooms, we actually just weren't showing any of them. And now if there are no prices on just some of the rooms, we'll still show the prices of all of those rooms. I actually think, shout out Brad, I think he actually queued this up himself and just had the engineers review it. So that is pretty cool for some of the new ways that we're working.
Wow, yeah. A little AI agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just to like also make sure it's clear, like it would show up in authorization and all that normal stuff, but there's like a specific place where like when you're looking at the different rooms, you can like compare pricing where there was an edge case showing up there. Yeah. So don't worry. There wasn't some sort of like catastrophic, like we're not showing room pricing anywhere. Yeah.
Just like a little like context thing, right? Where it kind of showed up. So that's nice. Fix that. Quick win.
That's the name of the game.
Quality of life.
A little polish. And then the other thing this week, we added all those really nice empty states, but we didn't think through the fact that so like, I'll just give the example of the one we fixed. The empty state around an email inbox being blank was like, oh, you should connect your email to sync your emails in. But if it was blank on like trip emails and you already had your email synced in, we would still show the same empty state. So it wasn't like aware of the context of the state of the user when it was telling you like what you should do next. So again, in the spirit of trying to like help guide you of like, what is the next step I need to do here to make Tern feel more accessible? We now just tweaked some of those to say, hey, if you're in a trip and you're on the emails tab and you haven't sent a message, click the new message button. And that's your first step. So just like smarter empty states in general.
The empty states make, like, we've talked about this before, we won't belabor it, but like they just make such a big difference in being like, what is going on? What do I need to do? Right. So continuing to improve those it's really fun. It's kind of fun to think about like even in the past month or two, how much easier it's gotten to know, like, how do I use Tern? Where should I start? It's like, we've talked about this, even demoing, like people seeing the trip overview of here are the different things you can do. It just makes it so much easier to understand how this is working. So a lot going on, a lot of exciting updates. We're now in the week ahead section where we get to kind of talk about what's coming up. And Jade, you're kicking that off. What's going on next week?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We've been experimenting more with like different ways of working. I kind of mentioned this with some of the work that Brad's been doing, but we've been pairing more earlier on in projects to see like what we can do and what we can prototype. So Brad and I have been working this week on a new feature that we're going to think about more next week with the team on agency suppliers, terms and conditions, and easier ways to manage those and share them with advisors. So we'll spend some more time with the entire team next week. And then we've also been spending some time with the full engineering team on the active project right now, which is to track expected versus actual payments and actually keep a record of actual payments instead of tying those to the expected payments and kind of overwriting them as you change the total price.
Wait, Jade. So are you saying that if someone makes a small tweak to something, we're not going to just blindly get rid of the credit card details?
I am saying that, yes.
Did you like that, David? Did you like that? Was that a good?
I like that. Yeah, it was good banter. It was good banter. But Molly, did you know the answer to that question?
That's what I'm saying. I was making fun of you.
She definitely knew the answer to that question, but there should be some really exciting updates coming to expected and actual payments. And yeah, we're experimenting with the team and kind of working all together to iron out all the edge cases and really build this as fast as we can. So it should be a fun week.
And like, that's going to be such a game-changing thing. Like, when do we think we'll be able to like demo that on the pod in terms of like the credit card authorization updates?
I think we should be able to demo something next week in the pod. So
Oof. You heard it. How much money do you want to put on the line?
Also, I won't be on the pod, so this is all on Brad. So
Jade's like, not my problem. Like, at all of it. Okay, well, that's very exciting. And when people actually see that, and we've said this a couple of times, but like, this is going to deliver. Like, when you see how we're updating credit card authorization, it's going to take what I already think is like best in class compliance in the industry, and it's going to make it just best in class from like how to use it, how to maintain it, like that. It's just going to be great. So excited for that. Jade's got lots of money on the line, being ready next week. And Molly, what's your week going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be interviewing, and then the next mobile update should be ready. So lots of good testing and launching for that. And then there's another set of really exciting form improvements coming out. So being able to associate form responses with trips will be really exciting. And then a few other things that we can talk about more next week.
Love that. And I'll kind of round things out here. I am literally watching the clock very closely because I need to, in 4 minutes or less, be on my way to the airport because I'm heading to Las Vegas for Virtuoso Travel Week. We are kicking things off. There's like tonight, kind of a speaker dinner. Tomorrow's the tech summit where we'll be doing kind of a brief presentation and facilitating some roundtables. Then we're hosting a dinner. We're hosting a kind of bunch of meetings. So if you're going to be at Travel Week, we would love to see you. Shoot me an email, david@tern.travel. We'll get a meeting set up. We'll be doing one-on-ones, like the whole thing. This will be kind of the biggest presence that we've had ever at Travel Week. So it's shaping up to be an absolutely exhausting 7 days. 7 days in Las Vegas, in my opinion, is far too many days. But we're going to try and make it through. And we will be coming to you live. I will be coming to you live from a hotel room in Vegas next week. So we will see you then. As always, go ahead and let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. Make sure maybe wish Jade a happy birthday in the comments. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Yeah.